Now, Stuart Varney is known to me as the angry British guy on Fox News. He's not only the angry British guy, but he also hates poor people. Oh my God, I can't believe all these poor people have a refrigerator and microwave. How terrible. And some of them actually have a computer. They're not poor. So, of course, now that we know who Stuart Varney is, I'm going to show him not being happy about the new progressive direction that the Democratic Party is going in. Recently on Fox Business, he decided to go on a little bit of a rant about how the Democrats, how terrible it is for the Democrats to be embracing the evil of socialism. Watch.
I left socialist Britain in the 1970s. 40 years later, socialism is now gaining traction here. I find it very hard to believe, but it is happening, especially with millennials. I guess they haven't had that much contact with socialist reality. A Harvard study of 18 to 29-year-olds found 33% support socialism. A majority, 51%, did not support capitalism. What's that all about? Elitist guilt?
What's that all about? Elitist guilt? Okay, so that's absolutely ridiculous, for one. And let me show you why. Now, there's a new report out that shows the CEO of America's largest employer, that's Walmart, makes about 1,188 times more, as much as the company's median worker. Now, the details here, according to company filings, show that Walmart CEO Doug McMillon earned $22.8 million during the retailer's last fiscal year. You want to know how much the average Walmart employee made? They earned about $19,177. That is roughly $20,000 a year. You can't live on that. You can't afford health care. You can't afford dental, vision. You sure as hell ain't buying a home. So there's some big wage disparities, right? Now there's more. Macy's, the CEO, earned $11.1 million in the last fiscal year. That's 806 times the median employee. At Gap, the chief executive made $15.6 million, or a staggering 2,900 times the median employee. Starting to wonder why 51% of millennials don't like capitalism. Weird. But it must be elitist guilt. And get the fuck out of here. There's more. According to data from the Department of Education, an estimated 44 million student loan borrowers had an average outstanding balance of $37,172. You know what you could do? You could actually buy a home for that. And interestingly enough, you look at that debt, $37,000. That is way more than the average Walmart worker makes in an entire year. Now, speaking of homes, the amount of 28 to 30-year-olds that are homeowners have actually seen a drastic decline within the last 10, 20 years. Now, home spending, according to Bloomberg, historically accounted for roughly 70% of all U.S. economic growth. Now, that means home ownership is an incredibly important marker of wealth. So when you buy a home, for example, well, then you got to furnish it. You buy furniture, you buy appliances, you buy all this stuff, and then maintenance on your home, lawn care, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of costs associated with owning a home. Well, costs for you is gains for someone else. These companies that sell those products. So those products, well, look, the whole buying and selling of products, that is economic activity, right? Well, now you have a majority of the population, of younger people at least, that are unable to participate in that sort of economic transaction. So, look, with all of that debt, the debt is a primary driver of the fact that millennials are unable to own homes and contribute to the economy. Now, there are other things that they can't afford. Of course, they can't afford to have kids. So that is one thing. For example, Toys R Us. They're like, Millennials, that's the reason we're running out of business. They're not having kids, and the kids aren't shopping at Toys R Us anymore. That is partly true, but there are definitely other factors that play into that. But look, millennials have got it worse than their parents. They're one of the first generations to actually have it worse economically and have a worse economic future than the previous generation. So, and look, there's a lot of millennials that can't afford doctors, can't afford health care, health insurance, medicine. Let me give you an example of that. There's a lot of people that have actually had to run to GoFundMe pages so they could afford life-saving medicine or surgeries even. In fact, in 2017, Shane Patrick Boyle had started a GoFundMe campaign to raise money for a month of insulin. He couldn't afford his insulin anymore. You know what happened to him? He died. He died after developing diabetic ketoacidosis. Again, that's something that is preventable if you have your insulin. If you have your insulin. So, look, there's another example. Another man, 26-year-old Alec Rayshawn Smith, was found dead in his apartment on June 27th. He was rationing his insulin after he aged out of his parents' insurance coverage. And guess what? He had died from the same preventable condition as Boyle. Is there any wonder why millennials, 51% of millennials, are not in favor of capitalism? But no, of course, doesn't have anything to do with that. It's all elitism, right? This is all elitist guilt because all of these millennials are just sitting on hordes of money, mountains of money. Now, according to Varney, it must be, as I said, elitist guilt or something or someone that is far more influential.
Then there's the Democratic Socialists of America. Now, that is not a third party. It's a hard-left group that's growing fast within the Democrat Party. It had 40 chapters in November 2016. Now it has 181. And don't forget the socialist left that's already so visible. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Keith Ellison, they are firmly established Democrats working within the party. It was President Obama who started this leftward turn. He wanted to make America just like Europe. When Bernie Sanders' candidacy was aced out by the Democrat establishment, it simply gave new life to the socialists. And President Trump just made them apoplectic.
Oh, my God. Look at these scary socialists, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Socialism! It's socialism. No, what's funny is that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are actually incredibly popular with the people. In fact, Bernie Sanders is the most popular politician in America by a wide margin. But, you know, they're scary socialists. Right. Now, what's funny is that they couldn't resist going back to Obama. The Obama, Kenyan Muslim socialist, man. It's all his fault. This leftward turn in the party. Look, let me lay down some facts, right? So, yes, while President Obama campaigned as somebody who's center-left, a center-left politician, he was actually, in his policies, center-right and continued to try to chase Republicans. For example, he enshrined 99% of Bush tax cuts into law. That is something that Republicans couldn't even do. He had offered to cut Social Security during the grand bargain negotiations, and for his signature achievement, Obamacare, he actually took a right-wing Heritage Foundation healthcare plan and basically adopted it for the entire country. He took Romneycare, which, look, was effective in Massachusetts to a degree, and said, oh, well, let's take this national. That way, we'll get Republican votes. Public option? No, we don't need a public option. Single-payer Medicare for all, that'll never happen. No, let's go with the Republican plan, so at least we'll get Republican votes. How many Republican votes did he get? None. Not a dick. During President Obama's term, the banks and Wall Street happened to have done incredibly well. Exceedingly well. But wait a minute. I thought he was a scary socialist. No, he's not a scary socialist. He's actually incredibly good for business. And look, he used taxpayer money to rescue the banks from collapse. And yet, somehow, he is the reason that the Democrats are embracing socialism. It doesn't have anything to do with all the systemic problems inherent in our crony predatory capitalist system. No. It's all about Obama and Bernie. Look, here's the thing, right? Not even Bernie Sanders is a actual true socialist. Bernie Sanders is a social democrat. He is your FDR social democrat. That's where I stand. I'm a social democrat. I believe in strong safety nets. I believe in strong regulations. And yes, oh my God, higher taxes, but mostly on the rich in order to pay for things like healthcare, socialized medicine, Medicare for all, which is incredibly popular. It pulls at over 60%. Free college for people who want to go. And, higher regulations on businesses and ways to protect regular people. I believe in that stuff, right? And look, in Europe, again, Obama wanted to make America more like Europe. That actually sounds like a great idea. There are European countries, there's Denmark, Sweden, Finland, that are social democracies that are some of the happiest countries on earth. I would love to be like that. That would be fantastic. They have capitalism, but they have strong safety nets and government programs that happen to be widely popular. So, but of course, facts will not get in the way of a great Red Scare, which is exactly the kind of thing that Varney's running. Now, I've got one more video for you here, and that's Varney's final thoughts on socialism. Let's watch.
Well, I'm not moving again. I'm a citizen, and I'm staying to fight. This program will continue to support and point out that socialism is morally reprehensible. It is something for nothing. It is divisive. And if you want prosperity for all, socialism just doesn't work. The President of France is visiting. Just ask him.
Just ask the President of France who's here. He'll tell you that socialism is terrible. Even though Macron is more of your neoliberal, he's still far to the left. Maybe not far to the left, but he's still to the left of your mainstream Democrats, your corporate Democrats, and massively way left compared to you. So that's ridiculous. Oh man, there is so much ridiculousness in that. Look, you want to call it morally reprehensible? No, what's morally reprehensible is people dying from lack of health care. What's morally reprehensible are CEOs that make thousands of times more than their workers who live in poverty, who get paid poverty wages. What's reprehensible is the fact that under our crony capitalist system, most of the gains end up going to the top and then just sit there. All while roads and bridges fall apart, people end up going hungry and don't make enough to survive. While the rich, of course, get more and more handouts and everything for free. Everything that you warn about socialism is happening under our capitalist system already. That is what's reprehensible. As well as Stuart Varney. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.